It's Tuesday, December 14th, and this is now on HNN.
The preliminary data showed about an 89% protection.
Updated results from Pfizer's experimental COVID-fighting pill shows it cuts the risk of hospitalization and death.
I just hope they find us somewhere to go.
Volunteers and donations are pouring into Kentucky following the tornadoes. I'm Laura Podesta at Mayfield High School, which is also serving as a shelter for those who've lost their homes.
The Honolulu City Council considers more regulations for the underground fuel tanks at Red Hill.
This allows for checks and balances by the city and county of Honolulu.
So we got these stories, plus one of the Las Vegas Strip's most iconic casinos is about to get a new owner. Details coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for watching This Is Now on this Tuesday. Want to let you know about something. Here's a live look at Honolulu Hale, where a press briefing and bill signing is about to happen. This is in regard to Bill 40, that is to increase a new hotel room tax to help pay for rail. We also have new numbers in from the State Department of Health.
Yep, DOH is reporting 214 new COVID infections today. The breakdown by island shows 169 cases on Oahu, 23 on the Big Island, 9 on Maui, 6 on Kauai, and 7 residents were diagnosed out of state. Meanwhile, Pfizer says its experimental pill to treat COVID-19 appears effective against the Omicron variant. Here's Dr. Anthony Fauci, chief medical advisor to the president.
Now that the complete, full, final data set are in, it's just as good, if not better. So that's really good news. So it's holding up under larger numbers of people.
So again, that was Dr. Fauci reacting to that news that broke this morning that Pfizer's new experimental COVID-19 pill cuts the risk of hospitalization and deaths by 89%. Let's bring in our Sammy Salina to tell us even more about it. Sammy, what can you tell us?
Jonathan, the updated results comes from a pill called Paxlovid. It was given to 700 people within 3 days of them showing symptoms. All of those people were unvaccinated. 5 of them had to be hospitalized and none died. Among a similarly sized group that received a placebo, 44 were hospitalized and 9 died. Pfizer says Paxlovid should be effective against variants because it works by blocking an enzyme involved in viral replication. That process remains the same even as the virus spike protein mutates.
All right, Sammy, so when can the general public expect to be able to use this drug?
So the company has asked the Food and Drug Administration for emergency use authorization, but right now there hasn't been a date set to discuss it. The Biden administration announced last month it would buy 10 million 5-day courses of the drug. The government will pay more than $500 per course for a total price tag of $5.3 billion. Pfizer says it will allow several lower-income countries to produce generic version of Paxlovid at a much lower cost.
All right, Sammy, I really appreciate those details. Let's toss it over to Ashley for even more news.
As infections increase across the state, some medical experts predict Hawaii is heading into another COVID surge. Here's what Dr. Scott Miskovich of the Premier Medical Group had to say about this.
As we're seeing across the United States, we're seeing that in the areas where people have moved indoors in the northern part of our country, the disease is soaring. And one thing that I think Hawaii really needs to open up their eyes on is we're always compared to Vermont. Well, Vermont and New Hampshire are at all-time highs. New Hampshire has called in the National Guard for hospitals. They have higher vaccination rates than the state of Hawaii. So we always talk about how well we're protected when we compare how great we're doing with vaccines, but this just doesn't help with this disease. So now we're seeing the line of COVID move down as the colder weather goes. It's down across now into Tennessee, Kansas. It's getting into areas of Alabama right now. That's where the next danger is, because the vaccination rates are much lower across the South. So we are definitely looking at a massive surge across the United States, especially in the lower southern states. It's already happening over a state that I'm working through in New Mexico, Arizona. I have teams all over the country, but our country is facing a major winter surge between January through April.
All right, we have that press conference getting underway right now with Rick Blangiardi in regards to Bill 40.
Funds having the opportunity then to enact this tax, collect those monies, and to ensure at the very least what we could do at core city operations was first and foremost a priority for us. But then the opportunity created itself to use those monies for additional resources or needs that we might have. And so we definitely are going to commit about 8+% towards some of the things that we want to get done with respect to the visitor impacts on our public facilities. We know that that's really important, preserving our INA, but even for our local people, not just for tourism. I think I'm especially sensitive to the things that we're doing for our local people to create, especially with our parks and other natural resources we have for their enjoyment. You know, we all get to live here as our priority and want to take care of this place for that reason. But then it does lend itself to some real much needed creative financial help, if you will, and towards the rail. And I want Lori Kayakina today to talk about that. So Bill 39 and Bill 40 for us are very important. So is Bill 34, which really has a lot to do with respect to limiting commercial activity in our parks. I go back to what I just said earlier about taking care of our parks and not subordinating our local people. I'm not signing that bill because fundamentally I think more needs to be in that bill. It needs to be different. But that said, it will pass. But we really are interested in making sure that we're not overrun in our parks and other places of recreation with a lot of unwanted commercial activity. So we've remained sensitive to that. We'll see how this bill evolves over time and what our rulemaking will be. But I, for one, want to make sure that when people go to parks and other recreational areas, that they can enjoy those the way they were set up to be and not to be sort of out of control. So with that, I think I'd like to bring up Brandon first, Brandon Elefante, Council Member Elefante. Take the podium.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Mr. Mayor, as well as Director Kayakina and all those that have testified on Bill 40, which is the transit accommodation tax. I think it is crucial, even though it didn't have unanimous support by the council. It really goes to show that, as Mr. Mayor mentioned, that we had to really fill that gap, that puka, that we have in $45 million that we needed to fill and use for our core services, as well as natural resources, and also for multimodal transit. So I think with this signing here today, I mean, every day that we didn't take action on this bill would be days that we would not have funding available for us and for the city, especially for this critical needs. So I think it's very important, and just want to remind folks that TAT is for our transit accommodation tax, which is for the tourists and those that come here and visit. So they'll be helping to support core services as well as multimodal transit. So thank you again to Mr. Mayor, also to the Budget Committee and my fellow council members and those that have testified, whether for or against, on this very important critical measure. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Lori Kahikina, Interim Executive Director and CEO of HART. And regarding Bill 40, I cannot stress enough how humbled HART and myself are that administration, City Council, and even our board supported this bill. It will provide much needed income that we can use to build a functional system to Honolulu where there's jobs and connectivity with the bus system. And as Councilmember Elefante mentioned, there was testifiers on both sides, council members on both sides, and I hear you. I hear what has been said, and we're taking it seriously, even those that were against giving us the TAT, but we're going to use the funds prudently on the best way we can. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Lori. You want to stand? Yeah. I'll stand behind you.
All right, you just saw it right there. That was the press briefing regarding the action being taken by Bill 40 being signed into law by Mayor Rick Blangiardi right now. As we speak, he is putting that pen to paper. We're going to move along to some other news now, and it's in regards to the Red Hill water crisis.
So the Honolulu City Council is holding a special meeting tomorrow on the Red Hill tanks. Council member Radiant Cordero is co-authoring a measure. She joined us today on Sunrise.
You know, we've been talking about this for weeks now because there's so much interest, so much concern about these fuel tanks. And I wanted to ask you about this bill in particular because it's giving the city more oversight over these fuel storage tanks. So explain to me what you're hoping to do with this bill.
Absolutely. As you have seen, our Board of Water Supply, Ernie Lau, has been calling for the fuel to be removed. He has been raising concerns about the fuel at Red Hill for years, almost a decade. And this allows for checks and balances by the city and county of Honolulu, or the city and county, for projects and underground fuel facility tanks that are in our Honolulu, because the military doesn't operate in a vacuum. What they affect in their properties and facilities also affects us. So this provides that oversight.
So let's just break it down a little bit, because right now, are you saying that the city doesn't have any real power over what the federal government or the military is doing with these fuel storage tanks as it stands?
At the moment, that would be an agreement between the leases between the state and federal government, and so the city basically has oversight over their fuel facility, their shafts, their wells, so not necessarily the fuel tanks.
Okay, so just to be clear, this bill that you want to propose in this special meeting tomorrow, that would allow the city to give permits to the Navy if they chose to have these fuel storage tanks.
Absolutely, and if they choose to, they have to prove that these tanks will not leak. Whether and how the conditions of how you prove that is very based up to them, but we also agree that the condition that any tanks above an aquifer is dangerous.
So how does this work? Because the federal government usually has jurisdiction or has more power and trumps the city's power. But would this bill give you anything that's enforceable in order to, if you decide to say we don't want this fuel storage anymore, can you force the Navy to get rid of those tanks and empty the fuel?
Luckily, in the United States Code, there is passed by Congress the ability for cities and counties to enforce that. And we have to set up our county to be able to regulate the fuel tanks to begin with. And whether it is a coordination between our Department of Planning and Permitting or Board of Water Supply, I think it is important that we do set this up for the future. So far, do you have any resistance from any council member or from the mayor in passing this bill, as far as you know? As far as I know, I have not heard any opposition. I look forward to tomorrow's meeting, tomorrow at 10 a.m., to hear the administration's thoughts and also the Board of Water Supply's thoughts.
How soon could a bill like this pass into law?
The bill could pass into law as soon as, if we plan it correctly, we could do it by the beginning of January.
Okay.
But if we, wait for meetings, then it would probably have to be adopted by February.
I just wanted to point out something that you had in your bill, which I thought was super scary, was about this quantitative risk and vulnerability assessment from 2018 from the Navy.
Yes.
And basically, it says that in the next 10 years, the risk for any kind of acute leak is 96% in the next decade. Now, that's got to require some sort of action on the part of the city.
Absolutely, and this is why we feel it is important, not just as another entity of government for checks and balances, but especially for all of our neighbors across the island to do.
Radiant Cordero, we appreciate your time.
New today, the District of Columbia's Attorney General is suing Proud Boys and Oath Keepers over the January 6th attacks on the U.S. Capitol. One of the defendants named in the lawsuit is Oahu resident Nicholas Ochs, the founding member of the Proud Boys Hawaii chapter. The suit is trying to recover millions of dollars spent to defend the Capitol during the riots.
The internationally known dancer and choreographer Naini Chen has died while on vacation in Hawaii. Reports say she was found unresponsive while swimming off Kailua Beach yesterday. She was from Taiwan and founded the Naini Chen Dance Company in New York in 1988. She was just 62 years old. In the nation's heartland, the death toll from the deadly tornadoes is up to 88, including 74 in Kentucky, where more than 100 people are still missing. Laura Podesta reports.
Emergency responders in Dawson Springs, Kentucky are working around the clock searching for tornado victims.
I'm trying to coordinate the recovery system right now. We have quite a few people missing, and so we're still trying to, well, you can see, they could be anywhere.
Town officials estimate more than 60% of the homes in this town are beyond repair.
This house was well built.
Homeowner Wayne Simpson knows he's one of the lucky ones.
We're just thankful that we're so blessed. Not everybody had that opportunity.
Mayfield, Kentucky suffered some of the worst destruction, including a candle factory where 8 people died. Officials say it could take years to recover.
We're going to be with you today. We're going to be with you tomorrow. And we're going to be there with you to rebuild.
Mayfield High School is serving as a shelter and donation hub for people who have lost everything, including many parents of small children.
I just hope they find us somewhere to go, because I don't have family here.
9-year-old Aniston Rackley was among those killed in Missouri. Her family tried to stay safe in a windowless bathroom when a twister tore through their home.
She was, to me, an angel walking among us.
And in Illinois, federal and state officials are investigating the Amazon warehouse collapse that killed 6 workers after a tornado hit. Laura Podesta, CBS News, Mayfield, Kentucky.
Truly devastation there. And we have an important traffic alert we have to get to here at home.
That's right. The Transportation Department has closed the town-bound lanes of the Like Highway at the Wilson Tunnel until about 4 this afternoon, so crews can install barriers to protect the shoring being used for the emergency ceiling rod repairs. Now, traffic during the closure is being detoured to the Halawa Honolulu-bound H3 freeway. Again, this closure is until about 4 p.m. this afternoon.
And as we look at our live picture coming in from our traffic camera, I see some raindrops out there on that lens. Let's get an update on the weather conditions from our Guy Hoggy.
Get out those umbrellas and those jackets. It's going to be a blustery day today. Scattered showers moving through the state, especially for windward sides of Maui and Oahu. And then with those breezy winds, temperatures will run cool today, only to about 82 degrees. And there's only one weather alert. That's the small craft advisory for all coastal waters. Now, it's going to be choppy over on the windward side. Better conditions with a rising swell this afternoon for north and northwest shores. Hopefully, it's good enough to run the HIC Pro tomorrow because the contest has been postponed today. So again, scattered showers, a little damp and blustery today. We'll still see some showers tomorrow, but slowly the rain's going to be easing up. Should be drier with lighter winds Thursday, Friday into Saturday. And then we could see a few more showers, maybe even some heavy downpours early next week.
All right, from the feeds, guys, here's the time of the show where we take a look at what the internet is talking about. And have you noticed something missing from the grocery store shelves? And of course, there's that whole supply chain thing. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the word diet on soda. Yeah, it's going away. And that's because it's really all about trends, really. It's being replaced with words like zero and zero sugar. Marketing experts say it's because the word diet has fallen out of fad, really, and it's really not what millennials and Gen Zers use. No-calorie drinks first became popular in the 1960s. Everyone remembers the stories of Tab, right? Mm-hmm. And they're still popular. I, myself, have a Monster Ultra Zero right under this desk right now. Economists say the retail soft drink market in 2020 hit $11.2 billion, and I was responsible for at least $9 billion of those dollars.
You need to stop drinking diet soda for breakfast.
I know, right? But luckily today, our assignment editor, Brenda, gave me some Christmas cookies.
Which is better.
So healthy options all around.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, Jonathan. Okay, well, MGM announced it has sold the Mirage to Hard Rock International for close to $1.1 billion. Now, the property, known for its exploding volcano out in the front, ushered in the modern era of mega casinos when it opened back in 1989. Now, MGM acquired it in the year 2000, and the company said last month it wanted to sell the casino to raise money for new investments overseas. Now, the deal allows Hard Rock to use the Mirage branding royalty-free for the next 3 years, and after that, visitors can likely expect new branding at the resort.
Really, it sort of has gone a lot of changes lately. It used to be like the home of Siegfried and Roy,
That's right.
And I think they passed away and no longer part of that casino there.
But when we went to Vegas for the UH game, that's where we stayed, and
yeah.
it still looks great.
Yeah, and they used to have a cat sanctuary there, which I don't think is still there
I did
either.
not see
Yeah,
that.
the white tigers.
Yeah.
All right, guys, big night on The Voice tonight because it all comes to a conclusion, and someone will be crowned the winner of this year's season. Mark Barger breaks it all down for us in today's Good News Now.
There was every reason for Jershika Maple to feel pressure, but she focused on savoring Monday night.
It's bittersweet knowing that this would be my last time performing my set on the stage, and to have standing ovations for both of my songs from my coaches was just such a genuine, heartwarming feeling.
14-year-old Haley Mia took on tunes from Billie Eilish and Olivia Rodrigo with hopes of following in their musical footsteps.
You are the one that has grown the most every single week, and it's so impressive.
Paris Winningham was initially speechless trying to describe the night.
Mrs. Jones.
But he eventually found the words.
1,000,000%, comfortable and happy, and just everything fit perfectly tonight.
Wendy Moten channeled Whitney Houston and tried very hard not to focus on what might be ahead for her.
Don't worry about if you win or not. The hopes is to win, but the idea was just to enjoy the moments.
A Fleetwood Mac moment was part of the night for Girl Named Tom.
Listen to the wind blow, down comes the night.
Potentially the show's first multi-voice winner.
Carson says that we win. I am going to be utterly shocked because, Mark, you saw the talent on that stage tonight.
It's up to America to decide. Mark Barger, NBC News.
Again, all that action takes place tonight on KHNL. And what amazing song choices
I was
from
just
last
gonna
night.
say Whitney, Fleetwood Mac. Oh, my heart.
Yeah, those are some good ones.
Yeah.
All right. This story, I don't know about it.
I know, you guys. So
sorry
this
about
is
that.
why before I bring my Christmas tree into my house, I shake it like a crazy person because this family in South Africa found a snake lurking in the branches of their tree. Now, it's one of Africa's most venomous snakes. It was hiding between the tinsel. It's a female boomslang between 4 and 5 feet long. So boomslang's venom causes hemorrhages and can be fatal to humans in very small amounts, but experts say they are shy and rarely bite. Okay, that does not make me feel better. And a snake expert recovered the reptile and released it back into the wild.
Not the tinsel I want on my tree. Not at all.
you.
And you know, they do come in on our trees,
Yes.
little critters.
Oh, no.
I know there was
Yeah.
a skunk a couple years back that we were chasing around town. All right, guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now on this Tuesday. Our web team is writing up everything that was just in that Mayor Blangiardi press conference, so just check those HNN digital platforms for all those updates in just a few minutes. Ashley's going to be back first at 4 with all the other updates throughout the day. Have a good one, everyone.
Aloha.